Are you learning a language or are you a language learner? Painters paint, runners run, singers sing. But is there a difference between talking about what you do and talking about what you are? I think there is. And in this video, we're going to explore how a simple shift in how you describe yourself can make a massive difference in your language learning journey. My name's Mark Pentleton. I'm the founder of Coffee Break Languages. I've taught hundreds of thousands of language learners like you, and perhaps most importantly, I'm a language learner myself. I've learned around 10 languages, and on this channel, we discuss language learning and how you can achieve your goals and become a better speaker of whichever language you're learning. Let's talk a bit about identity and how it shapes what we do. Take runners, for example. Runners run. But it's more than just putting on your trainers and heading out for a jog. Being a runner means that you're someone who runs no matter what the weather is doing. It's about showing up to that 5K even if you're tired, and it's about the mindset that running is part of who you are. The same goes for writers. They write. But we all write, whether it's writing an email, a shopping list, or jotting down an idea or message. However, a writer crafts stories, pores over drafts, and revises again and again. They have a commitment to the craft and they recognise that writing is part of who they are. Whether it's poetry, novels, or even a blog post, being a writer means embracing that identity. As a language learner, I've often thought about the parallels between related verbs and nouns. At first, I saw verbs like write, run, or paint as full of motion and impetus. They're actions after all. But more recently, I've come to realise something. Nouns like writer, runner, and painter are even more powerful. They don't just describe what you do, they define who you are. By using the noun, we step into that identity. We become that thing, embracing all the actions, habits, and mindsets that come with it. Now, there's research to back this up, and this is fascinating. Let me take you back to 2008 during a US election. Researchers asked one group of people, "Are you voting in the election?" And they asked another group of people, "Are you a voter?" Guess what happened? The group asked about their identity. The voters turned out in much higher numbers. Why? Because they weren't just thinking about voting as an action. They were thinking about themselves as people who vote. But why does this matter for us? Well, when you move from just doing something to owning it as part of your identity, everything changes. You're not just dabbling anymore, you're committing. And that commitment, that's where the magic happens. Think about the difference between, for example, I'm learning French and I'm a French learner. The first is something you do. The second, that's something you are. When you say, I am a French learner, you're putting it out there. You're saying, this is who I am. And that mindset leads to a change in your behaviour. You become more consistent, more open to challenges, and crucially, more likely to stick with it. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please feel free to like it and to subscribe to get lots more content like this. So what does it really mean to be a language learner? Well, perhaps it's more than just taking lessons or listening to podcasts, although we do have hundreds of Coffee Break podcast episodes in 10 languages to help you learn. Check the link in the description or the QR code here. Being a language learner is about seeing that language as part of your daily life. It's about practicing, making mistakes, and enjoying the process. Here's an example. Let's say you decide to start journaling in Italian. At first, it may just be a sentence or two each day, but as you stick with it, something changes. You're no longer just writing words on a page, you're making Italian part of your routine, and in turn, part of yourself. You'll start noticing how Italian phrases pop into your mind during the day as you walk to work or wait for the kettle to boil. You'll think about what you'll write next. You'll start to reflect on your day in Italian, and your perspective on the world will gradually change. This is not just learning Italian. It's seeing the world through the lens of the language. And this is what I mean by owning the process. You're not just learning Italian anymore, you're living it. This ties into what researchers like Bonnie Norton from the University of British Columbia call investment. When we invest time or money into something, we hope for a return. When you identify as a learner of Italian, you're investing in your future self. You're saying to yourself, this is worth my time and effort. And this is the mindset which will transform your learning. But what if I told you there's another level beyond this, something even more transformative? Well, stick around because we're about to take it up a notch. Let's make this identity real with 3 actionable steps which you can start right now. Firstly, truly embrace the learner identity with an affirmation. I want you to say it aloud with me. We're going to say, I am a something learner, and fill in the blank with the language you're learning. For me, right now, it's Norwegian. Ready? Here we go. I am a Norwegian learner. Own it. Repeat it. I am a Norwegian learner. And believe it. Next, we're going to start building habits. And I think the easiest habit to build is to write at least one sentence in your language every day. I dag skriver jeg om identitet I språklæring. So today I'm writing about identity in language learning. Of course, you can write whatever you like. It can be as simple as saying it's sunny today, or something more complex, talking about what you've done over the course of the day. As you write a little more each day, the language will become part of you. The third step in the process is about tracking your journey. Create a new note in your notes app, or start a log in your journal where you record what you've learned each day, even if it's just a word or a phrase. But like any journal, it's important not just to write it every day, but to look back on it and to see how far you've come. Every small action reinforces your identity as a language learner, and this will help to build momentum. The more you act like a learner of the language, the more it becomes part of who you are. Okay, if you've made it this far, you're serious about being a language learner. And here's your reward. Once you've embraced being a Spanish learner, you can take it to the next level. What if you started imagining yourself as a Spanish speaker? Not just someone who is learning Spanish, but someone who uses Spanish or whatever other language you're learning confidently. This idea comes from a Hungarian linguistics researcher called Zoltán Dörnyei. He talked about the ideal L2 self. In simple terms, this basically means picturing the future you who speaks Spanish fluently. Imagine this. You're sitting at a cafe on the Paseo Marítimo in Palma de Mallorca. The waiter approaches your table and you confidently order a cortado, an espresso with steamed milk. Then you chat about the weather, fully understanding his response. The future you who speaks fluent Spanish is having the best time. Or imagine, I don't know, as a German learner, you're touring the Salzkammergut region in Austria, renting a boat on the Wolfgangsee. You strike up a conversation in German with the boat rental attendant and end up getting a discount because she's so impressed with your language skills. The more you act like that future speaker of the language you're learning, the closer you get to becoming them. So start now, speak aloud, even if it's just to yourself. Picture those real-life scenarios and rehearse them. Trust me, it works. So are you ready to stop being someone who learns the language and instead become a language learner? And maybe, just maybe, start imagining yourself as a speaker of the language. Well, if you've watched this far, you've already taken a big step by joining me and saying that you are a French or a Spanish or a German or a Japanese learner. That's fantastic. And talking of Japanese, did you know that Coffee Break Japanese is coming very soon? I'll put the link in the description. Anyway, now is the time to go further. Reflect on what being a speaker of that language could mean for you. Picture those moments where your confidence opens doors you never thought possible. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Are you ready to embrace the identity of a French learner? Or perhaps you've already started seeing yourself as a speaker of your chosen language? Let me know in the comments below. Share your affirmations, your experiences, or even your goals. I read every comment and can't wait to hear about your journey. Now, one way to help you identify as a learner or a speaker of the language and integrate learning into your daily routine is to think in the language as you go about your daily life. And this video will help you do just that. It's packed with practical tips to help you make every moment count.